Ask Reddit, what's your? Well, that escalated fast moment. 1. Police officer here. When a husband, on a domestic call, exited the second-floor apartment bedroom with a chainsaw and tried to start it while advancing on me. The saw had been running prior to my arrival as the smoke permeated the air. But when I arrived, he couldn't restart it, so he ran and did a perfect 10-point dive out the second-floor window, landed on the ground, and ran in snow-covered ground. He was easy to track to his hiding spot. 2. A girl from my old job invited me to hang out with her and another female ex-coworker while I was home for Thanksgiving 2 years ago. Shortly after, we stopped at the grocery store to buy bags of chips. We've been talking about sex at the bar before, and one of the girls said to me while pointing at the other girl, still in the grocery store, "I think she wants you to spank her." 15 minutes later, I was having sex with both of them on the hood of my mom's Hyundai. 3. I worked for a big electronics store from 2004 to 2006. At the time, it was policy for the loss prevention guy to deactivate a customer's shopping bag if they set off the alarm when leaving. This was pretty common, happening several times a day. Well, a customer was leaving and he set the alarm. The loss prevention guy asked for his shopping bag so he could run it back over the deactivator. In response, the guy pulls out a hunting knife and stabs him. The kicker was that it happened at closing time on the loss prevention guy's last day of work. He was in the reserves and was going to be shipped off the next day. He survived but spent several weeks in the hospital. They caught the bad guy the next day, if I remember correctly. This was like 9th grade, but it's one I remember very well. My sister had been dating this guy. She was 1 year ahead of me, and he was 1 year ahead of her. Well, they break up at one point, and it was pretty bad, I guess, because they fought a lot. A few days later, he starts spreading rumors about her, and it's high school, so it runs like wildfire. I saw him in the hall, and I went up to him and asked him about it. I was calm, and it was really a simple question. The guy decides the best answer was to punch me in the face, and I was the one who got suspended for 3 days. 5. Me and my friend were just talking about stupid stuff, and the conversation turned into our self-pleasuring habits. We started teasing one of our super religious friends, asking her how often she did it, since she's planning to save herself for marriage. She did the usual blushing and refusing to answer at first. Then out of the blue, she went, "I can only touch myself when it hurts." She won't say anything anymore, but things got awkward fast since that, coupled with several other things we know about her, made us really wonder about her past. She is usually really uncomfortable with, or even scared of being touched by both men and women, even if it's just a hug. She has no memories of her childhood before age 12. She grew up with a large household staff who were often alone with her since her mom was often in the hospital and her dad was too worried about her mom to really pay attention to the kids. She is intelligent but often behaves like a child, doesn't get sarcasm, believes everything people tell her, sees things only in black and white. She's always attracted domineering, emotionally abusive friends who'll take advantage of her and bully her. She has never been interested in romantic relationships. She is really pretty, but will make herself ugly by doing things like refusing to shower for days, chopping her own hair, wearing the same outfit for almost an entire year, etc. None of that on its own is something to be concerned about. But once you put all of them together and take that statement she made into account, it gets very worrying. We asked her if she could try to think back to remember anything that happened to her before she was 12, but she just started freaking out and seemed close to having a panic attack. All of us have our suspicions, but she seems happy as a person, so we all agreed the best thing to do is just leave this alone and just be there for her when she needs it. 6. My ex-roommate decided to get his girlfriend a dog, a super cute husky puppy, saying that despite it being a gift for her, it would live with us. When he mentioned this to me and the other roommates, we said no, because the lease said no pets. 2/3 of us were allergic to dogs, and huskies are known shedding. Well, he got the dog anyway, and said he'd keep it in a crate in his bedroom, so the dog hair wouldn't get all over the apartment. Cue a week later around 8 p.m. when I open my door to go to the bathroom and find a husky puppy peeing on the carpet in front of my room. I yelped in surprise, and the dog left a trail of pee down the hall, which my roommate insisted I clean up, saying I scare the pup. He crated the dog, but we got into a verbal fight, and I stormed out, planning to stay with a friend for the night. I was sick and tired of not being able to breathe at night from my allergies. On my way out, I called him a few choice names and slammed the door. I drove to my friend's house, stopping to get gas for my car. This is important later. Apparently, my slamming of the door was enough that his shelves of DVDs, 250 plus, stacked on shelves above his bed and the dog's crate, fell onto the dog crate in his bed. Bear in mind that I didn't know this had happened as I had already left the apartment. I wouldn't have known if the shells had fallen had I not gotten a call the next morning at my friend's house from the police asking that I come into the station for questioning for attempted murder, assault and battery, domestic violence, and animal cruelty. The officer started with, "Where were you at 9 p.m. last night?" The jackass of a roommate had concocted some story that I'd tried to murder him and his dog. I had somehow come into his bedroom and loosened the shells so they'd fall on the dog and kill it and injure him. I explained to the officer that I was getting gas at 9 p.m. I had a receipt to prove it, and I stayed at a friend's house who would verify that I was there starting at about 9:15. The officer told me to make my way down to the station to be questioned regarding the domestic violence charge. I asked him how it was domestic violence. All I did was call him an effing asshole and slam the door. The officer stopped and said he'd call me right back. I can only assume that the cop called my roommate because I got a call about an hour later saying my roommate had decided not to press charges because it would affect our careers and that I needed to be careful what I said to people as they might take it wrong. He was in his final year of dental school. I was starting my PhD. I got a call about 20 minutes later from one of my other roommates who told me that she came home to find him all bloody and bruised, as apparently he was lying in bed when the DVDs came crashing down, and he had told her that I had beat him up. I can only assume he told the same thing to the cops. I immediately decided, since there was a month left on the lease, I was going to move out that day and put everything in storage until I could find a new place. When I got back to my apartment, I found he had trashed my room, dumping used coffee grounds and dog shit on my bed. For those who were wondering, the dog was okay and is now living with my ex-roommate's girlfriend. 7. I was driving and arguing with a friend about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. My friend punches me in the arm. We crash. We flip. We all go to the hospital. The argument started with the standard which turtle is best, in my opinion, Leonardo, and then escalated to do you prefer the old or new cartoon April? And at this question led to violence. 8. There's this bar in East St. Louis called Pops, and it's open 24 hours, always serving alcohol. Me and a few friends decided to go there after the strip club closed at around 5 a.m. We were all just hanging around, still drinking, and there was a group of like 3 guys who were shooting pool next to us. Literally out of nowhere, with no warning whatsoever, one of the guys swings a pool stick and breaks over the back of one of the other guys he was with, and then proceeds to back out of the bar with a broken pool stick in his hand, saying, "I ain't going to jail." Afterwards, I asked the guy that got hit what had happened, and he said he had no idea. The guy had just snapped. 9. When I was 10, I was having a sharp pain in my side when I took a deep breath, like when you have a bad gas bubble or something, but it lasted for a few days. So I told my parents about it, and we went to see the doctor. I was checked out, and the doctor heard no sound of breathing coming from that side, so I was sent to get a chest x-ray. The x-ray came back and showed that my whole right chest cavity was covered in white so that my ribs weren't visible. Later, we found that I had 3.5 liters of fluid around my right lung that doctors then drained out, and 2 days later found out that I had cancer. 10. This happened to me when I was 18. During the summer, I was going into my freshman year of college. I was at this party, and me and a few of my friends were sitting outside with some kids who were 2 years younger than us. I knew one of them when I was in high school, and me and him would always make fun of each other. I was really drunk, and they were really high, so we were just making fun of each other for about a half hour. Well, one of the kids calls me a bitch, and I asked him in a kind of joking tone, "Do you want to fight?" He said yeah. I got up, and I guess he wasn't expecting me to actually get up. It was definitely the alcohol taking the wheel, and I was just mad this kid who was so much younger than me had the balls to call me a bitch. My friend told me I needed to stop yelling. Too late. I went from Bruce Banner to Hulk, and I yelled, "I'll stop effing yelling," when this kid effing stops disrespecting me. The kid just stands there with a blank look on his face and doesn't say a thing. I got even madder and slapped him across the face. My 2 friends dragged my ass inside as quickly as they could. I ran into one of the kids a week later, and we laughed about it. 11. It's winter in Portland. I was at a bar until closing time with some friends. Once last call was over, probably 30 or so of us that were still there stumble outside to find that it's been snowing a bunch. We proceed to have a snowball fight, and it's one of those great random moments in life that you'll remember forever. Anyway, everyone is drunk, and the snowballs start getting thrown harder and harder. Eventually, someone hits someone else with a chunk of ice. Before you know it, an all-out brawl has started in the middle of the street. A massive street fight. Some giant Samoan guy nicknamed Moose is just pummeling the lights out of one of my friends. His jacket is torn to shreds. Another friend heads to his car and grabs a flashlight out of his trunk and beats the Moose in the back until my friend can get away. Then, I kid you not, a car pulls up and a guy jumps out and asks me what side am I on. He jumps in and starts fighting people with no hesitation. Shortly after, we hear police sirens in the distance, so my friends and I all take off to our car. But since it's been snowing, we're stuck. So we get out and start rocking the car back and forth until we get unstuck, pile in, and take off before the cops got there. What did you think of these stories? Which one was the most surprising? Leave your opinion in the comments, or share if you also have a story with your own. Well, that escalated fast moment. Don't forget to subscribe. We are a new channel, and we really appreciate your support. We publish stories with new topics multiple times a week. From Reddit Stories Bonanza, we wish you an amazing week.